Week 1 officially starts Thursday, and if you play Dynasty, now is the time to make your moves before values shift for good. Once these games kick off, some of these guys' prices are going to skyrocket. Today, I'm breaking down my 5 Dynasty buys heading into Week 1, players you should be trading for right now while their value is still low.
Hey.
Before we get into this first guy, I want to apologize real quick. I know my voice sounds terrible. I've been sick for like the past month. I've been trying to push through the videos, but between that and screaming my head off at the Southern Miss Mississippi State kickoff yesterday, my voice might not be 100%, but we're going to rock and roll through this anyways, guys. So the first guy on this list, Tony Pollard for the Tennessee Titans. Now, I think he is going to rise in value significantly. People are saying he's 28, he's over the hill. I get that, guys, I truly do. But Tony Pollard is going to be the workhorse again for yet another year for the Tennessee Titans. And last year, you can see he did pretty well, all things considered. Yes, he was the 22nd running back in terms of fantasy points per game, but for what you can get him for right now, very cheap stuff here. I'll put some of his trades that have happened over the past few days on the screen right now, but 4.2 yards per carry, definitely nothing to scoff at. Not amazing, but he had 260 rushing attempts just this past season, over 1,000 rushing yards, played pretty much every single game outside of one. And the big thing for him though, 41 receptions for 238 yards. He's always been a guy that's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. His receptions dipped last year because Tajay Spears was their pass-catching running back. Well, he's hurt. He's going to be on IR for at least the first 4 games, so we don't know how healthy he's going to be. He's been banged up pretty much every single year thus far. So with Tony Pollard, you're getting a guy that's going to get a ton of volume in this Titans offense. We don't know how good the offense is going to look with Cam Ward, but they don't have a lot of talent outside of Ridley and Ayo Manor at receiver right now. And if you look at what he's done, you see 2022, he was an RB7 overall. Great stuff there. That's because he had a ton of touchdowns. RB15 in 2023. Then he was the RB21 in one of the worst offenses in the NFL last year. One of the worst teams in the NFL last year. We're always playing from behind, yet he still finished as a RB2. Yes, it was a low-end RB2, but if you have any faith at all in Cam Ward and this coaching staff and their ability to basically revive this offense, Tony Pollard's going to skyrocket in value. And you've seen very recently, he's been able to be a high-end RB2, low-end RB1. And it's all depending on how good is he going to be at getting into the end zone? How much are they going to be in the red zone? And if they're in the red zone a decent amount, guys, Tony Pollard could very well be a low-end RB1 this year, and his price right now, very, very low. So definitely be on the lookout for Tony Pollard. Whoever has him in your league probably is open to getting rid of him, so buy him while the price is cheap. Next up, we have yet another Tennessee Titan, and it's Calvin Ridley, their best wide receiver, and in my opinion, their wide receiver 1 in this offense. Now, guys, he struggled last year because of the quarterback play with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. They were just not good options at quarterback, and that's the reason why the Titans go out and draft Cam Ward, who has been spam targeting him throughout the preseason. Every time Cam Ward was on the field, he was looking at Calvin Ridley every single time. So I think his targets and his target quality are going to boost a ton this year. Now, of course, in 2024, he finishes the wide receiver 28, 36th in terms of fantasy points per game. So that's not great stuff, obviously. But over the past 2 seasons, he hasn't missed a single game, which is great stuff. Still had over 120 targets despite being one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL. And you see his target quality was not very good because he only was able to haul in 64 receptions out of 120 targets. Still was able to put up over 1,000 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. I think both of those numbers are going to go up because of the QB upgrade, and they really haven't lost much else in terms of that offense. So I think everything's going to stay mostly the same, barring injury. And then you're going to get maybe 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns out of Calvin Ridley this year. And obviously, he's 30 years old. So if you're a bottom tier team, a middling team that you know aren't going to make the playoffs, if you're not going to buy this guy. It doesn't make sense. Same thing with Tony Pollard. You're not trying to buy these veteran players, but if you are a contending team, these are the perfect players to go grab. So Calvin Ridley, his price is in the dirt right now. It has rose a little bit because of the spam targets, but look at Calvin Ridley's stats. Over the past 2 years, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 8 receiving touchdowns, 4 over, as long as he played 13 or more games, that's the lowest he's ever had in a season. I think he will bring that number up back to his Atlanta Falcon years where, 8 to 10 touchdowns, I think is a good number. While I do think Cam Ward will struggle a little bit, I think this offense is going to be much better than what it was in 2024, and Calvin Ridley's probably going to be the main beneficiary of that. All right, up next, we have our first rookie on this list, and I think you should be buying him everywhere that you can for a second-round pick. That's normally his going price, and that's Kyle Williams for the New England Patriots. Now, I've been preaching this guy's name all offseason. I loved what he put on tape at Washington State. I think he has a ton of high-end tools, but the Patriots, this is one of the landing spots that a lot of people didn't really like, and I personally love it. I think Stephon Diggs is the only other wide receiver in this offense that could be potentially as talented as Kyle Williams this year. So Kyle Williams is going to be starting probably on the outside with Stephon Diggs early on in the season, and I think you're going to see a lot of the skill sets pop off the screen immediately with Kyle Williams. He's got fantastic releases, very much adequate deep speed for an outside receiver. He can burn people over the top when needed. He's got solid yak ability that's really underrated. At Washington State, he put that on film all the time. And, I mean, it's like a Mod Podge of random receivers. I like Efton Chisholm. I think he's a depth slot option, but he did look really good in camp and throughout the preseason. Obviously led a ton of stats in the preseason, but I mean, Jalen Polk, IR, Javon Baker, cut, and you've got Kayshon Boutte, who's been okay. He definitely had a lot of rapport with Drake May last year, but I don't think he's a consistent option. Pop Douglas is their gadget slot guy. Outside of that, there's not much else there, and I think Kyle Williams is just more talented than all of those other receivers. And I mean, if you look at what he did over his time at UNLV and Washington State, you can see that. As a upperclassman in his junior and senior years at Washington State, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns in his junior season. Then he really broke out in 2024. 14 touchdowns. They were just spam throwing him those deep shots. 17.1 yards per reception, and that's with him getting all of these crazy screen passes because he was really their only playmaker at Washington State, hence why he had almost 1,200 receiving yards in only 13 games. So very impressive stuff there. I've been talking about him all throughout the offseason. I was talking about him being a major sleeper when people were saying he was going to be a 5th, 6th round pick. He ends up going in the early third round. So love Kyle Williams, love what he put on tape throughout the preseason as well. You guys need to draft him in your rookie drafts if you haven't done that already. Draft him in your last minute startups, whatever you got to do. And most importantly, ship your 2nd round pick off for next year and grab you a Kyle Williams. I do not think you're going to regret having this guy on your team. Before we get further into the video, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also, if you want access to my full Dynasty rankings, you can check out the Google Doc link in the description below. It's completely free to view, and if you want to talk Dynasty all season long with the community, make sure to join the Bobby's Big Board Discord. The link is in the description. Alright, let's get right back to the video. Next up, we have yet another rookie, and it's Harold Fannin Jr. for the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, the tight end that they took in the 3rd round. Now, guys, here's my tight end 2 pre-draft. It was Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin, then Colston Loveland. Because for fantasy purposes, Harold Fannin Jr. has a skill set that can really be a cheat code for you in fantasy. Now, I wasn't in love with the Browns pick the landing spot for him just because they already have David Njoku, but I do think he will test free agency next year, and they will roll with Harold Fannin Jr. as their starting tight end next year in 2026. But I haven't been saying his name a lot in my other buy videos because I thought Deontay Johnson would be the guy that would start in the slot for them. Now that they have cut him, I think Harold Fannin Jr. has a big opportunity to start in the slot and out wide for the Cleveland Browns. He is a super versatile chess piece at 6'3", 241. He's a little undersized to be used in line quite a bit. That's going to be Njoku's job. But man, this kid with the ball in his hands at 21 years old can do some really special things. He can break through tackles. He can juke people out of their shoes, which is very unusual for a tight end. But Harold Fannin Jr. absolutely brings that to the table. And look at what he did at Bowling Green. Now, yes, he did have lower end competition, but he still showed up versus the big teams. If you go watch the Penn State game versus Bowling Green, they almost won that game last year, and Harold Fannin Jr. was one of the main reasons because of that. So in 2023 for a tight end, these are very respectable stats. 600 yards and 6 touchdowns at Bowling Green in his sophomore season. That's better than what Colston Loveland did last year. He was one of their main guys on that offensive side that they would just spam target him, but they stepped it up to a whole nother level last year. 117 receptions on 156 targets through 13 games. That led all receivers, wide receivers, and tight ends in the entire country last year. 1,500 yards in receiving. That also led the entire country among receivers and tight ends. Then he had 10 receiving touchdowns, which obviously didn't lead the country, but it was definitely up there. And he had a 75% catch rate. He was getting a bunch of tunnel screens, bubble screens. He was just getting open down the seam. He was just the main weapon in this Bowling Green offense, and they went to a conference championship because of the production that Harold Fannin Jr. brought to the table. Now, guys, I think he's going to be used a decent amount in certain packages this year, and I think he can put up some solid stats, especially if the Browns play 12 personnel, which I expect them to do because of the limited amount of wide receiver talent that they have right now outside of Jerry Jeudy. And guys, after Njoku's gone, I think this guy is easily a top 10 dynasty tight end, so you guys need to grab him while you can. In Superflex leagues, I don't think there's a better buy right now at current price than Spencer Rattler, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So he was named the week 1 starter over Tyler Shuck, which was a little shocking considering they picked him in the 5th round last year compared to Tyler Shuck's 2nd round this year. And Shuck's already an older prospect, has more experience, also injury prone. So I thought that they'd probably give him the job, but apparently Rattler, fighting an uphill battle in terms of draft capital and situation, he was really able to convince this new coaching staff that he is the guy for them. And at 6 foot, 200 pounds, he's a little undersized for me, but the kid's got a cannon. He's got a cannon, he can be a gunslinger, and he's always had the talent. I mean, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's got the talent, and, you know, he just has to put it together. He's matured a lot. That was a big red flag for him coming in through college. He just had a lot of, you know, personality issues. He's apparently cleaned all that up now. And, you know, last year wasn't super great for him. He had 7 games while Derek Carr was hurt, 1,317 passing yards, which ironically is the Saints' rookie all-time record for passing yards. He beat out Archie Manning's record from the 70s, which is insane to me. 57% completion percentage, which isn't great. 4 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But let's give a little bit of context here. Chris Olave was out. Rashid Shaheed, both of his top 2 options. Taysom Hill was out by that point. Alvin Kamara was hurt at that point. He had literally nobody to throw to or really run with either. He had nothing to work with, and he still put up 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. Had a decent amount of highlights here and there, really was showing off like, hey, I can be something if you guys give me a little bit to work with. So Rattler, I think he's got a ton of potential with his cannon arm, You know, he's going to have to dial in the accuracy a little bit more. Obviously, 57% completion percentage is not where you want to be, but what you can get him for right now, I mean, you can basically get a 3rd round pick and like a bench player for Rattler right now, and you can probably get him for that. That is really good value for a potential starting quarterback. And yes, Shuck is a little bit of a pain because they're probably going to trot him out there at some point unless Rattler really just explodes. It's his battle to lose right now. It's his position to lose right now. So guys, Rattler, you can see what he did last year, right? 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. But I mean, he's able to rush a little bit. I think he's got some juice to him, and I think he's worth just taking a flyer on, because if he doesn't pan out, I mean, you're not out very much. So this is the best buy, I think, right now in the NFL. Spencer Rattler, remember his name. Those are my 5 dynasty buys heading into week 1. These are the players I believe are only going to gain value once the season gets rolling. So act now if you want to get them on your rosters. Who's your favorite buy before week 1? Drop your trade targets in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Hey.